So, what? Was it a couple of weeks ago now? It aired. Might have been. So the BBC Newsnight did a little section. I'll leave a link to it down below, called "Meet Tommy Robinson Supporters," and this really made me worry. Really, really did, because there were three points where they were interviewing three people. And these three lots really do worry me. Because, first of all, they interview this woman, and they're basically, she's annoyed that these louts started throwing bottles, and she said, this isn't what Free Tommy is all about. I can't speak to her fully, because she was just going on about how this isn't, the violence isn't what this thing is about, so I can't 100% say the reason why she was there, but I can sort of guess. And I think generally the reason might be is, like a lot of people who've been duped into supporting this Free Tommy Robinson thing, is they think it has something to do with freedom of speech. No. We've been over this hundreds of times. Tommy Robinson broke the law. Even in his appeal, his lawyers admitted his guilt and that he broke the law. He got off, and his appeal was won on a technicality. Right? So, basically, and this is the fun part, by the way, when he goes back to retrial, not only does the time he spent in jail not count if he gets sentenced again and goes back to jail, so they basically have to restart the clock, but he now also faces a longer jail sentence. Thanks, guys. I mean, that is generally what's going to happen, and it's going to be fun watching the Free Tommy people freak out, because this is their issue and contention has always been that Tommy Robinson did nothing wrong, when actually he did. He broke the law. He admitted in court he broke the law. Even in his appeal, his lawyers admitted he broke the law. What got him off was basically a technicality. And that's the first woman. And that's sort of quite woman. But that's the type of woman who you could have a conversation with, who you could at least convince that, yeah, actually, I probably shouldn't be supporting Tommy Robinson. He's a bit of a twat. The next lot is this group of lads, and they basically start off going, oh, it's all about corruption, the grooming gangs, and, you know, the royal family, big businesses, don't say which big businesses, by the way, the politicians, they're all involved in paedophilia gangs, you know, this is... And you're like, what? You know, what? I've dealt with these types of people before. I mean, he even said, oh, this all goes back to Edward Heath. There is no evidence to suggest that Edward Heath was a paedophile. There is even this, you know, one of the people that claims he was groomed by Edward Heath, basically said he was taken to Edward Heath's house along this boat to canal, where he got off on the back of his garden and then was taken to his house. But here's the thing, and this is actual fact, Edward Heath's house does not have a river. It is nowhere near close to a river. It is not linked to a canal. You cannot boat there and then jump off into his back garden. And yet, this is the type of story these people believe. And this is worrying, because what else do they believe then? And how? And I used to, when I started this channel, I used to try and, you know, talk some sense into conspiracy theories and conspiracy theories. And I tell you now, it's like, you know, trying to bucket water out of a boat with a hole in. No matter how much you bail out the water, it still keeps on flooding into the boat. It was just a useless, pointless exercise. And it really has. This is why people often get at me for not engaging in the comments, but very often when I see a lot of these people leave comments in the way they do on my videos, it reminds me of that time, and I just think, no, engaging with that person is pointless, because you cannot change their mind. And bear in mind, back in the past, I literally had a conspiracy theorist. What was he claiming now? I can't remember what he was claiming. I went, dude, that's wrong. Here's the information I'm giving you about it. This is why you are 100% wrong. And even after I'd given him this information, he still went on to make that claim and say that the information I'd given him was complete false. You know, so how the hell then do you talk and convince those guys that they are wrong and, you know, supporting this ridiculous concept and notion? And then you get into the one that's really worrying. It's this woman, and she basically says that, well, she makes the claim that she believes that the whole reason they were having this problem with grooming gangs in this country is because in their own countries they are allowed to rape and commit paedophilia with children. And the Newsnight presenter goes, that's not true. I've been all over the Middle East and Africa, and I can tell you that's not true. And then she just goes, but it must, and it's funny to see a flake. But then he asks, where did you get this information? He just goes, oh, well, whatever I read, I presume to be true unless it's proven to not be true. It's just like, oh, and that's the one that's really worrying, because then how do you reach and convince someone like her that her support for Tommy Robinson is wrong, and that Tommy Robinson actually committed a crime, and what he did would have gotten those people who were going in trials basically off on a technicality. And I'm not 100% sure if that has still happened. Like I say, we're still waiting for the trial to finish before we'll get like any full information about what was going on. Did that have any impact on the trial, and how much impact did it have? We won't know, but I'd love to know, like I say, what impact Robinson's stupid stunt he pulled had on that trial. Like I say, hopefully we'll know, because I'm going to lay in to him and his supporters if it turns out that his reporting basically nearly put this whole series of trials in jeopardy. Trust me, I will lay into anyone who says that Tommy Robinson did nothing wrong and that he was some sort of martyr for free speech. So, yeah, but yeah, go and watch the video for yourself. I'll leave a link to it down below, but my God, this is worrying. This is really, really worrying to me, because one of the things I keep on saying to people about Robinson and the people who push this, Islamophobic agenda, what does this end up doing? This ends up against violence against the Muslim community. And this isn't something that gets reported nationally, but it does locally. But there has been rising violence continuously against the Muslim community. And we need to address that issue. And the problem is, it's people like Robinson spreading this bullshit version of conspiracy that he likes to push. But that's where we are at the moment, and it's really worrying. Really is, because God help us if any of these parties ever actually got into power, because they would target the Muslim community even more, and they would have the power to actually affect these communities. And that's what's really worrying.